Yo, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to United versus Everybody. I am Sean, and the age of Amorim has officially begun. It may not have kicked off with 3 points like maybe some of us were hoping, maybe some of us thought, and obviously what we all wanted, but it did kick off. But it kicked off with a little bit of a disappointing 1-1 draw on the road against Ipswich, who, quite frankly, they are on a little bit of a mini run right now, so I'll give them that. Danny B already jumping in the chat. Don't know where to start, but the common denominator is a lot. These players need to go. We are going to get all up into the match, my friend, because I have a lot of thoughts. I know you guys have a lot of thoughts. We're going to dive right in tonight. I know it's been a couple days, obviously, but not a whole lot to talk about international break, but let's talk about the match. We're going to talk about some of what we saw from the players, some people who stood out interesting with the formation, the tactics. We are going to talk a little bit about the manager's comments, obviously, as we always do. And then we're going to look at some of the numbers because they are a little bit revealing and they're quite frankly pretty disappointing. Danny says a great start down the individual brilliance again, but yet to capitalize on it and go for the kill. Yeah, a couple players have some really good moments. Eriksen Casemiro clearly doesn't work without the ball. Midfield was wide open, caught in transition because they are lazy dumbass pressing. They can be, right? I thought that we're going to talk about midfield. But so Amorim's only had a few days with the squad, almost no time at all with some of the international players. I think some of the international players have only been back with the squad for 2 days, so not really even enough time. So it's not panic stations yet, and honestly, it really shouldn't be panic stations, even if we lost or something. But it is a frustrating result nonetheless. And I'll be honest, it's not even necessarily because it was a draw against Ipswich. That's not why I'm frustrated. But again, like Danny was saying, it's frustrating because Ipswich were better than us for the 90 minutes plus after our really, really early, minute and a half opening goal on the counterattack. Ipswich were basically the better side for the entirety of the match. It was a big ask to think that Amorim would suddenly come in, flip a switch, and then we look 100 times better, right? That's an unrealistic expectation. But needless to say, it was frustrating again because Ipswich were just better. Danny says Evans was poor. All were shit besides Onana and Ahmad. Yeah, we're going to chat a little bit about that, my guy. Starting with the starting 11, matchday squad. So there are a little bit of murmurs coming out ahead of time that Kokonki would feature in the matchday squad, but he was not involved. No Lenny Yoro, after it was kind of hinted that maybe he'd be ready. Tyra Malacia, Kabi Manu, and Luke Shaw all made the bench. And I know Malacia kind of hinted ahead of time that he might be involved, and he was in the squad. Obviously didn't get any minutes, neither did Kabi Manu, but Luke Shaw actually got some minutes, though. But it was pretty evident that there was still some rust for Luke Shaw to shake off. But he did get on the pitch. A little sloppy, a little slow, but it's not a big deal. And then, so looking at the formation, looking at the starting 11, so kind of like what we were talking about for the last few weeks, looking at the formation, looking at the personnel we have at our disposal, what's going to happen, who's going to put where. Mazraoui did end up starting at that right center back role, which is something that, we've been talking about for a little while, something I thought probably he'd be good at. He did just fine. The fun thing about this formation is that several players can actually play multiple roles if you need them to. Now, of course, not all of them are going to be good in some of those roles, but I think early on as well, this is where Amorim is really going to get to see where these players can play, who's able to step up, who can do a job, who might surprise us. It's not just about training anymore. It's about these kind of situations, and we're seeing some of that. It's going to take some time for him to figure out, but maybe not. And maybe some of them may not take too long at all. Rashford obviously got the nod to start up in the number 9. He obviously didn't go to England duty, so he's probably just the freshest striker. Højlund came back from work with Denmark, things like that. So to me, that had more to do with just Rashford being available for longer training and just kind of being up to speed. His finish, to be fair to Rashford, his finish to open up the scoring on that counterattack was just fine. Came in one touch off a beautiful ball from Ahmad on a counterattack, put it away. Good positioning. And this is why I think sometimes Rashford has showed glimpses that he can do some stuff, but he just doesn't show it enough for me. So, and then again, big up Ahmad for that run and the assist to do that. As Danny said, I was a little worried when I saw that Eriksen and Casemiro were in midfield, and our worries were kind of justified considering how Ipswich can press and the energy they have, especially when they're playing at home. They did press us, and as Danny's saying, off the ball, Casemiro and Eriksson are very, very slow. They are very, 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 very slow. And we were kind of getting run through a little bit. So it was a little bit frustrating. I'm going to get caught up on the chats here. Danny says Evans and Mazraoui couldn't dribble out from the back and progress the ball, causing us to play way too deep. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, Danny. RSV, man, welcome back. How are you, my friend? Hope you were wearing that new shirt just to celebrate the first debut of Amorim today. If you guys remember, RSV was the winner of the latest giveaway last weekend. So big up RSV. He says, I did see some style of play. The team did basics like keeping the ball and also having a lot of possession in the opposition half, specifically the second half. The attack was frustrating. Yeah, the attack is frustrating. We are going to talk about that. RSV continues, Amorim only had 2 training sessions. Like I say, yeah, we were saying that earlier, and he didn't have much time to assess the squad. His post-match press interview and press conference was a breath of fresh air. It's very honest. Danny agrees with you, RSV, and RSV says he did say the players were thinking too much and lacked fluidity. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about his comments. But were there any surprises for you guys in the lineup, in the squad itself, the starting 11? Let me know if there's anything you would have changed, anything that you didn't expect, anything that you were not happy about. You guys let me know. So major talking points to start, just some little things I noticed before we get into my 3 thoughts and the post-match comments. So Ipswich have not won a game at home since being promoted. And quite frankly, they were the better side. Like I said, they were better than us for 90 minutes. If you look at any of these metrics, the momentum, anything, they were better than us. And a big part of that, as RSV is saying, we don't have a goal threat. But that's not just down to striker. It's not just down to number 9. The only tacker we have who can get the ball into the box and make something happen is Ahmad. And he was in that wingback role. And to his credit, he was one of our better players on the day, but I don't necessarily like him in that wingback role. Yes, he put in a shift. Yes, he did work on and off the ball. Yes, but I want Ahmad closer to the goal. I don't want him having to do work on the outside of our box in open play, if that makes sense. I want Ahmad in the final third, near the opposition area, in that final phase of attack. I just feel like we're not getting anywhere near the best from him when we're playing him in that big, wide role, and he has to then drop back and do a lot of the defensive stuff. Midfield was just not there today. Like I said, no legs in Eriksson, no legs in Casemiro pivot. Completely run through, completely pass through. We couldn't really move the ball, like RSV is saying. It was very difficult for us on the night to move the ball. And I'm going to look at some stats on that a little later. But right now, I think this is a little bit of needs must with the pivot. Ugarte obviously played a lot of minutes in international ball. Manu still coming back from fitness. So like we've said many times, and like I've said on like United TV, Rich's channel, like I said to you guys many, many times, we are going to need midfielders in the summer. And they're not, in might even January, if I'm being honest. And it's not going to be this, we need a 6, we need a 10, we need an 8. We need midfielders. We need, kind of like Scholes and Nicky Butt have been saying on their channel, if you guys haven't watched that yet, we need midfielders. Just people who are box-to-box all around, who can do everything on and off the ball. You don't have to be world-class on and off the ball, but we need midfielders who can get about the pitch, who can hold on to the ball, who can pick a pass if they need to, who can carry the ball, who can do a little bit of everything. Someone like Orkun Koksu, for instance, someone like a Matheus Nunes or João Gomez or somebody like that. We need players with energy who can hold on to the ball, who can pick a pass and help out. You're not going to get away in this pivot of just, I'm going to do this and you're going to do that necessarily. Yes, Amorim has players with different profiles, but if you watch Sporting, those players do a little bit of everything. So we're not going to be able to afford to have passengers anymore. Sports prediction. What's up? How good to see you, my friend. Eriksson was surprised. Can we talk about how bad? You always want to talk about how bad Dalo was. Danny says, yeah, Ahmad's being wasted there, 100. I throw that in there just for you, Danny. No, for real, though. João Gomez had another good game today. Or was it today or yesterday? Yeah, he had another good performance this weekend. So, again, needs must with the pivot. But it's frustrating, though, for me to watch because Eriksson's probably not going to be here next season, and Casemiro really shouldn't be here next season. So, again, we're playing players who aren't going to be here anymore. And, again, it just happened to be the timing of the international break and the new manager and new system and all that. I get that. So maybe Thursday we might see something get shaken up because, yes, we turn right around and we have a match on Thursday. terms of numbers-wise, there wasn't much to write home about. So we did have 60% of possession, but we only managed half the XG that Ipswich did. We had fewer shots on target. We created fewer big chances. Some of you were like, Sean, we had like 200 more passes than Ipswich did. We were moving the ball. Like, yeah. But as RSV was hinting at, and like I already said, of the 563 passes we completed, 415 of those were in our own half. We just could not get the ball up the pitch. This is why I say the problem when it comes to goals is not necessarily down to a striker. We just have trouble moving the ball up the pitch. We couldn't move the ball. We couldn't beat Ipswich's press, really. We couldn't just get it out of our own half. And it was breaking down a little bit when it got to certain players. It was just one extra pass. We looked slow. We tired. We looked really, really, really tired before even halftime, really. And it was very, very, very frustrating to watch. And again, this was down to players. So of all the players on the pitch, Ahmad was probably the one who looked the most lively, right? He was getting up and down. He was doing his job, but I just want more. It's like playing Cobby in that pivot and forcing him to kind of sit a little deeper. Like we're not getting as much out of him as we could. Onana basically kept us from leaving Portman Road empty-handed, coming up with a few tremendous saves, including a big, big one-handed effort in the box. But other than that, I wasn't really blown away by anybody else on the pitch tonight. Amorim had a few thoughts after the match ended. He jumped on after the match and spoke with Roy Keane and the gang. Let me get caught up with you guys before we do. Dana B says, backwards, sideways. Yeah, it was not great. I was getting really frustrated. RSV says, Ahmad, Yoro, Mount, Mazraoui were our solid foundation to build upon. We're going to see. We're going to see what happens. Sports Prediction says, I think we just need to be patient with us wanting people in certain positions right now. The head coach is just assessing where these players fit in the system formation. Yeah, and like we said, man, it's hard because some players are just coming back. He hasn't had a lot of time, and so part of it is he's going to have to learn on the job in a match. But it's just bad timing with everything right now. With trying to get it all. We wish we would have had like another week in between international break and this first match almost. Dana says 100. Hope Mount stay fit. RSV, yeah. Mount can stay fit, that might be nice. But I haven't seen enough of Mount just fit in general to know what's going to happen. But that's not my job, right? So, Rich, nice to see you, my friend. United TV is just passing through. It's gone midnight. Yeah, man, I'm surprised you're here. I was watching a little bit of your show on earlier. So, yeah, you guys always go check out United TV. Go check out Rich if you get the chance. I didn't stick around too long on the show just because I had a lot of work to do. Plus, usually, Rich, no offense to you, but when I see Igal, usually I just turn the screen off because nothing personal against Igal. I just find a lot of his opinions just a little delusional, as most Arsenal fans are. So Amorim had no time, but at least he's not giving up on his principles. Yeah, and that's the thing. Started right off the bat. 3 at the back, moving in. I'm going to show you guys average position here of these players in a little bit. But it's nice to see him jump in and start. And not kind of that was a big question, right? Do we think he's going to start? Do we think he's going to integrate? What's that going to look like? So it is different. It is nice. And that's why I've said many times, it does feel different now that he's here. Ineos are here, the whole structure, and it's a whole new like refresher. Sports Prediction says a backwards negative mentality is still there. We need to see what happens next season. Yeah, these players do revert to type a bit. But it's good to see you, Rich, man. Appreciate you stopping by, even though it's late for you, my guy. So Amorim had a few thoughts. He jumped over to join Roy Keane and company at the table that they throw out on the pitch, and he said he had a lot of things to say. As someone already said in the comment, like, my players were thinking too much. They're struggling with what they're used to doing and what I want for them. So like they're still kind of caught in two minds, and you're going to see that. That's what I mean. Revert to type. They're in new situations. Your brain is going to grab onto anything that's somewhat familiar with past situations, and it's going to use that as a reference, and it's going to do that. That's what bad habits come from. That's what, patterns come. That's from like all these things come from that. Our brains do that in a variety of different situations, and this is the case. New situations that seem somewhat familiar, they're going to start doing what they've always done, which is that negative football. So Igal was actually very positive. It might depend on the company. Well, Igal's always positive when Arsenal wins, so it is what it is. Danny said, I didn't see that. Didn't see what? Let me know. he said also, we can't control the ball, we can't control the tempo, but they tried. The decision making was a concern. He also said, again, we've known this for a while. We've known that the decision making is not great. But he also added, you don't need to coach them at this level when it comes to decisions or keeping the ball. The system is not the concern; it's the moment, it's the decision making. He said, Garnacho, we learned something today. We learned Garnacho is good holding on the ball in between the lines. We've learned that Bruno wants to be on the ball because he's good at the long balls, but he wants the long ball all the time. Something we've all been saying. It's amazing how Amorim is literally, he's wasted zero time in basically just saying what we've all been saying about some of these players for a couple of years. He's already come in and is like, the fitness is not there. The match understanding is not there. Bruno wants the long balls. He understands what the problem is. But he also said, first we need to understand the game, then we have to be much better physically to cope. Again, what we've all been saying, the fitness is just not there. United TV always showing the love, man. I do appreciate that, Rich. Sports Prediction says, bro, you are so right on. I think we don't say it enough that this is literally the first season with proper structure at the club. So please, I'm begging us, the fans, to please be patient. The post-match thing. Yeah, he kind of and then stupid Ed Sheeran popped up out of nowhere like he's freaking Salt Bae at the World Cup or something. Just like, what are you doing? Go away, man. Yeah. Roy Keane versus the Ipswich fan would have been a better watch than the Tyson fight. 100, he knows he's spitting the truth. Ineos hasn't really been here for a full calendar year yet. Yeah, Ineos has not been here really at all. So it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to make some of these changes. So he had a couple other things to say. I'm not going to go too deep because there's a lot of different interviews and different things. He just looking at some of the other comments. He said in terms of just the plan and the players' willingness to kind of take on board the instructions. He said they tried to do it. That's the main point. We have a lot to improve, but they tried. This is the first point, the most important point. But he did say, again, they were thinking too much during the game, trying to cope with everything we said during training, but it was just 2 trainings. So it felt like they really wanted to do a good job, but there was a lot of new stuff coming in, and they were, again, thinking too much. And when you think too much, when stuff isn't second nature, when it's not muscle memory, when it's not what you're used to, and you have 2 conflicting, patterns and habits going on in your brain right now in a given moment, it's hard. Your brain generally going to revert to the one that it knows more. And so it is going to take some time. He says, we could win this game, but also Onana did great saves. It's always tough to play in this league, and we will improve in the future. And so I think that what we've seen tonight is that the players really did buy into a lot of it. Who's jumping off here? Someone looks like Rich jumping off. Good to see you too. Yeah, take it easy, Rich. Thank you, man. Go get some sleep, my guy. Appreciate you stopping by. Bars, Sean, bars. So, sorry, I'm getting thrown off track here. I want to check these chats. I want to make sure I'm getting everybody's thoughts in. But so basically, the same stuff we've been saying. They're overthinking a little bit too much. They did try. They do have belief, and it's going to take time. And he called out some of the bad habits of some of these players, i.e. Bruno, always wanting to play the long ball, not being fit, not understanding. We're getting there. It's going to take time. And so I think he will get time, Amorim, because he's Ineos' appointment. There's a big change in top down, top to bottom change in that structure. And I think that if the players can buy into it, and if he's already saying the players are already trying, and we've seen it try, I think that's a good sign, because we did kind of start to get the feeling a lot of times, even in Ten Hag's earlier days, that sometimes the players just weren't quite on board, and which can be worrying. But you guys let me know your thoughts on Amorim's post-match comments, because those are his thoughts. I have my own. We are going to jump on into my 3 thoughts, as always, starting with number 1, Ruben's reality check. So I literally said the same thing about Ten Hag when he got here, but I have to say it again. If Ruben Amorim didn't fully grasp the enormity of the task at hand when it comes to getting United back and rebuilding, I think he probably does now. Because it is a enormous task at hand when it comes to what he needs to do with this squad. We are nowhere near where we need to be, and there's quite a long way to go to get there. Hell, there's a long way to go to even get to within sight of where we want to be. and it has more to do with the players and clearing out a lot of this squad. In a weird way, it's almost better that we didn't win if you want to get twisted with it, because you wonder almost if a win would have papered over any cracks. Like if it would have given us a little bit of a false hope, maybe a little bit of illusion, if it would have lulled us into a false sense of assurance. Like, oh yeah, no, we're good. These players can hang. Like that's not the case. I mean, Amorim's smart though. I doubt he would have allowed a win to trick him into thinking it was all bunnies and flowers if we had gotten 3 points. Again, he's already shared a lot of the criticisms of the squad this week, not just today after the match, but even after training and stuff. We've already seen some of his thoughts on that. And again, like we've been saying, remember, it's only been a few days. Several players have only recently returned from international duty. Several of them have only recently returned from injury. The issue remains, however, that there's a lot of work to be done. It's a reality check. Like, it's like real quick, like, man, some of these players just aren't good enough. Some of these players aren't fit enough. Some of these players just don't have the IQ. Some of these players don't have the mentality. And seeing it now in an actual 90 minutes under a new coach is a bit of a reality check. He has a lot of work to do. Again, he's Ineos's appointment, so barring any absolutely catastrophic collapses, you'd think he's going to be here for a while, right? The question then is, how much can he get from this current squad? I've seen fans and I've seen pundits claim that managers should be getting more from this team on paper, right? They should be better. They should be beating these sides, blah, blah, blah. But is that really true? After this many managers, it's just becoming more and more clear that not only are some of these players just not good enough, but are they also bringing down the squad? You know, these are difficult questions. Danny B says, Amorim here for the long haul. Players need to step up or ship out. They have 6 months. Some of them, honestly, for me, Danny, only have like 3 months. Yeah, you realize fast after the first half why Erik ten Hag abandoned the 4-man high press. Yeah, that's the thing, too. He made some changes pretty early. I think the 55th minute or so was when we first started to see some changes, which is a little bit of a breath of fresh air. And I know a big criticism we had of ten Hag was maybe sticking with things a little too long when it was clear that it just wasn't working, whether that was a plan, whether that was a player, whatever you want to call it. And so statistically, making a substitute in that like late 50th, early 60th minute, that's statistically going to yield better impact on the match. But it's good to see Amorim making changes. We saw that at Sporting. He's not afraid to do it if he has to. Sports Prediction says, I think fans don't realize that this is the first season with an actual footballing structure. They think we had this structure under Erik ten Hag, but nope, that's not true. Erik ten Hag only lasted 3 to 4 months under them. It is interesting, though, that they gave him an extension, but I hear what you're saying, and I've been banging that drum all week long. Like it feels different. I'm not saying like the vibes are going to win. I'm saying just the overall club right now feels different. This latest managerial appointment feels different. Like you're saying, Sports Predictions, like we've said many times, because of the structure, because of the ownership, because of the profile and the age of players that we're trying to bring in. Even the fact that we've got this manager who's younger, who plays this whole different formation. It's like a complete shift almost in a good way of just this identity and the culture. It's like we're finally in a proper rebuild and restructure. And like I've said, refresh is the word that comes to mind when I think about this. And I'm excited to see what we can do with it. Danny says 100% made subs the right time. Yeah, he did what he had to do. And you can't be afraid to do that. A lot of people are saying like the earlier you make subs or whatever, it shows that something's wrong. That's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean the system and the tactics. Sometimes if a player's having an off day, if a player's just coming up against a better opponent and their opposite number, it happens sometimes. Sometimes the players pick up something. It is what it is. But on top of the players who maybe just can't hang, you have players who likely aren't going to be here next season, 3 of whom started today. So Eriksen, Evans, and you could probably throw Casemiro in that list. They're all in their 30s. 2 of them are out of contract in the summer, and Casemiro is a signing that was heavily criticized by Sir Jim and could be gone soon. He's on high wages. He's an older player. It's clear that he doesn't have the legs unless someone next to him does. So is it just going to be a case of let's play Ugarte next to Casemiro? Let's play Manu? I don't know. But it might be a situation where if we can't offload Casemiro, we carefully select which matches and which opponents he might be better suited for. And we kind of do that and manage the minutes a little bit. But again, so many of these players being in the starting 11, again, could have to do with the international break, could have to do with injuries, but all 3 of these players have also been mainstays in the starting 11 this season under Ten Hag and under Ruud. So now this means that we're going to have to replace him soon. So we also need to start planning for that now in order to put Amorim in the best position to succeed. This is the first week of training again. This result will have been a reality check for Ruben Amorim. Again, I'm not trying to say like let's all just panic right now. I'm just saying he should have learned a lot from what we saw tonight. And a big part of that is just how big of a task is at hand. So let's hope that he and Ineos could work together. He and the players can work together, and let's hope that the fans can get behind this plan as we get through it, because it is going to be a big undertaking. But you guys let me know your thoughts on that. I'm going to move on to number two. Number two on my list is second best. So for Manchester United to be outplayed all across the park by a newly promoted side who have yet to win a game this season is not a good look. Sadly, most of us are not surprised by this because we do tend to struggle against newly promoted sides. But I think I'm just not surprised but frustrated by the performance is kind of the phrase of the day when it comes to this. Aside from that first minute and a half, United were outworked, outrun. We just flat out outplayed by Ipswich. Again, as someone said in the chat, we reverted to type. We're too slow. Sometimes not making the right pass, sometimes making the backward pass, oftentimes one too many touches. That's overthinking, like Amorim said. We couldn't string two passes together. The final ball was not really poor, when it wasn't there, and even if we did get the ball up there, it was not a good ball. And defensively, no one's alive to the ball at the back post. There was one play, Ipswich got in, ball comes across back post, no one's defending it, and then goes back across for a simple cutback. No one's alive to the simple cutback, which cost us a lot last season in the Champions League. Nearly cost us again today. And then it was another case of just one pass or one dribble just completely bypasses Eriksen and Casemiro in the midfield again. So a lot of the same kind of stuff we've been seeing from these players. It cost us a goal when, once again, nobody closes down the ball on the edge of the box, and Omari Hutchinson manages to cut in on his left and get a shot off. Now, fair play to Mazraoui for trying to block that by getting ahead on it. But that deflection kind of took it past just out of reach for Onana, unfortunately. But again, why was Hutchinson given so much time to get that ball away? It was really, really, really frustrating. Then if he wants to know, do you think Bruno has the legs and the dribbling ability to play a 10 in Amorim's system? I think he needs to play the 8. I mean, if he doesn't have the legs to play in the 10, I don't know. I definitely don't know if he's got the legs to play in that 8, because we saw today just how much it requires having a bit of legs in that system. I think of the two, what we saw when Bruno has been scoring more under Ruud was Bruno getting involved higher up the pitch in that final phase, getting touches in and around the box. And I think that's probably where we want him. I don't see a problem if he's going to be a little bit of a free roaming and stuff. I just don't know if I trust Bruno with that discernment and that decision making to know when and how to do that. But we're going to see how it works. Again, it's not up to us. It is totally on Amorim to figure out where a good spot for him to go. Danny B says true, Sean. Yeah. Again, and I know Danny's going to throw out Dallow's name on that one. I think Evans and Dallow kind of struggled playing in that system together a little bit. Alan Taylor, welcome to the channel, my friend. They beat Spurs before the break, so they do have a win this season. At home, sorry. But you're right. But so again, Hutchinson getting a little too much time in the ball. Where was the effort today? We ran 102 kilometers today, which was like almost nearly 10 less than Ipswich. And that was our second lowest distance run total as a team from United all season. So again, not a good performance. Where was the urgency late on in the match? When was the last time we won a second ball? I can't there was one thing I was calling out all day today was, have we won a single second ball all day? Like, where is the initiative? No one's alive to those situations. There was no initiative to wrest a little bit of control back into the game. I mean, we struggled the entire match. Danny B showing the love to the new guy. No one knows how to control a game in this side. Amorim said it himself after the match. We couldn't control the ball. There was no urgency in the last 10 minutes. We were playing in that last 10 minutes like we were up by a goal, and we were trying to just see out the result, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of like, you guys, I always forget what match that was. You remember that match where I think we were drawn? I feel like it was a Europa League match, but we got a free kick in like the last minute, everyone's up in the box. Onana's getting forward. And then instead of just hoofing it in the box to try to see if we can get one last effort, Licha just passes it back to Onana and the ref blows a whistle. Like, that's the kind of shit that I'm talking about. Like, there's no urgency. It's like the players don't realize, like, there's still 10 minutes. Like, we could do something. They were just nothing there. And I got to be honest, the more I think about it, Ipswich are probably going to be the more disappointed side after this result because they were just better. If I'm Kieran McKenna, if I'm Ipswich players, if I'm the Ipswich fans, I'm going to go home kind of upset that we didn't get 3 points because they really should have. Danny B says low IQ players in key positions, no Steeler grit. Yeah, it's a little frustrating. And yeah, Alan, they did win at Spurs. I'm pretty sure that was not at home though, so it was. But they, like I said at the beginning of the stream, they are in a little bit of a mini run. So we are kind of giving them, at least they're not in a relegation zone anymore. It does help, but it just does not help us. So you guys let me know how you feel about the fact that we're pretty much second best all over the place today. Going on to my third thought here. And where would the goals come from? So we've already spoken about this a little bit in another stream, just because goal scoring seemed to be one of our Achilles heels this season. So aside from that counterattack, and I think one other opportunity in the second half where Ahmad got into the box, I can't remember another instance in the match where I thought to myself, oh, we're going to score here, or we could score here. Like, we just didn't really look like getting a second goal at all. It was one of those matches where just nobody really felt like it. Didn't see anybody really taking the initiative, didn't see anybody really trying. It was really, really frustrating to watch for me. Sorry, I'm just checking my slides real quick here for a second. And before I start seeing Gyökeres's name pop up in the chat, a new striker is not going to solve the problem. As Amorim said after the match, it's about decision making. You know, it's not about the strikers; it's about the players around the striker. Who's passing the ball? Who's getting their head up? We just couldn't get the ball forward, and when we did, the final ball was poor. Like I said, it was one too many forced passes from our players when they really should have just maybe carried the ball themselves or even taken a shot. Again, that's that overthinking that Amorim mentioned. Aside from his goal, Rashford only had 13 touches and 1 touch in the box. Garnacho, again, was guilty of maybe not getting his head up 1 or 2 times and releasing the ball. He held on to it way too long when Rashford was wide open, and it's just stuff like that. Like, he went for that outside of the foot with his right when he should have just put it in his left earlier. And if he just wrapped his left foot around that, could have put it in space, Rashford would have been clear on goal. Like, things like that are starting to frustrate me. And there was another instance where he got the ball high up the pitch, and a more experienced attacker would have taken that, and instead of trying to take the ball wide, they would have cut across the defender, put their body in between the ball and the defender, and force the defender to either foul him or let him by. Those are the kind of things that come with experience, and Garnacho just doesn't have yet, but he has to start implementing those. He has to start trying to learn how to do those things, whether it's getting your head up, finding your teammate. It's just those little things he has to really kind of expedite ironing out, because if not, I can see him going down another route like Rashford, where you say making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And so, yeah, definitely never put his head up. I was saying that at the time. I thought that when Højlund came on, his first touch let him down a little bit. There was one ball in particular where it came in kind of down our right-hand side, and Højlund was kind of in that channel where he's going to be mostly in this system. But instead of receiving it, controlling it for 1 second, and using that touch to move it in, that touch, he put it outside, and it took him further away from goal, and it just sort of killed the attack. He's young, but he's got to learn in those situations. What's the next touch going to do? The next touch needs to take me closer to goal. Like, that's what he has to be doing. Xerxes came on, Bruno moved to a deeper role, and Xerxes didn't really do much. He was guilty of kind of overcomplicating things too. So again, the question is, where is the goal going to come from? Who is taking responsibility? Who's finding the attackers? Like, we can ask the question, but everybody wants to score. Garnacho wants to get involved. Bruno wants to get involved. Ahmad wants to get. Everybody wants to get involved. It's like there's not a clear game plan when we get into that final phase. It's like we get to that ball, and then whoever has the ball is like, well, I'm just going to shoot. And so it's frustrating. I want goals to come in. So you guys let me know where you think these goals are going to come from. But you can't just say go buy Gyökeres because that's not a solution. Because you could drop any top class striker in the world in this side, and they're not scoring right now. So I know I sound a bit like a pessimistic bastard, but this is more about the players today than anything to do with Amorim. This isn't me like giving up already or anything. You guys know I have high standards when it comes to United. I've grown very, very tired of this half-assed shit from this group of players over the last few years. But there were some positives. Aside from laughing at Man City, which we can all do that, right? And by the way, did you guys see the footage of Pep scratching his balls? What is happening to Pep Guardiola? The dude is seriously like regressing into like some sort of childlike phallic state or something. I have no idea what he was doing. But that was messed up. I posted it on my Twitter if you guys look on there. So there were some positives. So like Danny's saying, Onana deserves a shout. Saved us today. Looking good this season. Yeah, Onana definitely upped his game a lot this season, to be fair to him. Danny says Xerxes was like a headless chicken. He didn't know where he was playing. Didn't absorb instructions like he was told before he came on. Yeah, I think as soon as Xerxes steps on the pitch, it almost just looks like remember when Casemiro was playing against Liverpool or that penalty shootout against Coventry last night. It's like this blank stare. Like he just doesn't know what to do, and he's not paying attention to anything around him. And so he's frustrating me a little bit, Xerxes. But I'm willing to give him time. He's only been here a few months, but I got to see more. So again, some positives. The positives I could say, we saw Amorim implement his system right away. Some players took to their new positions very well, such as Mazraoui, such as Ahmad. Ahmad in particular, again, showing us more and more why he should be playing and why he should be starting and why he really should have been playing more in the last 18 months especially. I said it before and I'll say it again. Ahmad is our best attacker right now. Even when he's forced to play wider and he's getting back deep, he's still the best attacker we have on the pitch. And again, like Danny's saying, what a display from Onana. 5 saves, 2 potentially like match savings. Not match saving, but like they spared us some blushes. The point is fine. His distribution was not great though tonight, and I think that's like it's hard. It's like his distribution was all right, and his saving was shit last year. Now his saving's better, but his distribution is suffering a little bit because he didn't complete any accurate long balls at all out of 10 attempts, and so his distribution not too great. But not only did we see Amorim's formation in full flow, the average position of the players kind of suggest that the players, again, were buying into it like Amorim said. So let me just show you what I'm talking about here. So if we look at the average position of the players, let me add this so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So if you look at this average position, Alan's laughing. You laughing at my Pep comment. So if you look at the average position, I didn't see that, bro. It's messed up. Like Pep Guardiola is going like full like Joachim Low kind of stuff, man. It's messed up. Deer in the headlights, yeah. So this is the average position of United's players on the night. So if you look at the average position, it's basically the Ruben Amorim formation. You've got the 3 at the back there, and the Evans, De Ligt, and Mazraoui. You've got Dalot and Ahmad basically right where they're supposed to be. Got Casemiro and Eriksen kind of in the middle, with Casemiro kind of naturally dropping a little bit deeper, which is what you're going to see in a Ruben Amorim midfield. You're going to see that more defensive-minded midfielder drop a little deeper. You're going to see the more creative midfielder go a little higher up the pitch. And again, you've got Garnacho and Bruno kind of taking up positions right behind Rashford, and then Rashford kind of taking up position up top. So average position suggests that the players are kind of positionally doing what they need to be doing, and it didn't take long. Now, again, it comes down to you can put like any player in the position where they need to be, and if they're not good enough, the system can break down a little bit. You see that happen with Pep Guardiola all the time. There's a reason Pep needs a blank checkbook, is because he has these great tactics, but they literally only work when he has the best players that City can buy playing in them. Otherwise, they just don't work. And so that's what you see. But yeah, average position, you can see it here. Then he says the front 3 press was shambles over Rashford lazy. Rashford is just, it's hard because I'm trying not to get on Rashford too hard today. I'm trying not to let what we've seen from Rashford kind of infiltrate my reaction to his performance tonight. Because again, he's playing striker. We know that the striker role at United right now is pretty much a graveyard shift. You're not going to get service, and he didn't get service. He got what did I say? 13 touches on the whole time he was playing. The only time he really involved is on that counterattack to start the match, and so I think that it's just we don't find the striker very much at United. It's unfortunate because we really should be doing a better job. Because why do we bring two strikers to this club in the last 2 seasons? Why are we linked with strikers all the time? I saw us linked with Kolo Muani, all sorts of stuff. So it doesn't make sense. But as you can see, it's from that graphic I just showed you, the average position the players are buying anyway. It's going to take time, that's for sure, right? And Amorim himself has said, like, we're going to suffer for a long period. He said, I know the fans are frustrated, but there's a lot to change. It's going to take a minute. So, Danny says, front three press was shambles over. Yeah. Poor in possession. Yeah, we were not great on the ball tonight. What shouldn't take long is figuring out which players can hang. The whole time we were watching this match, I'm looking at these players like they just cannot hang. They're not fit. Now, if you guys remember Joel, he jumped in on the chat the other day and he was kind of expressing a little bit of concern over some of the jogging that we were seeing from that training footage. And at the time, I'm like, well, it's training. Like, I'm not sure. I don't want to read too much into it because it is Amorim's first training. Some of these players, they've been off for like 4 days. But it was a little bit worrying to watch today because it was more of the same. The players just, like I said earlier in the stream, the players just look gassed before halftime. We just don't look fit. And it's been that way under several managers. Ollie complained about it. Jose complained about it. Ten Hag complained about it. Amorim has already criticized the lack of fitness. The players, like Danny said many times, like they need to fix up or they're going to be moved on. It's not asking a lot for a player to actually just like give a shit and try and run and maybe go a step above jogging. It's not asking too much, but for some of these players, it seems to be. But they're not going to have much time to try to figure it out because we got Bodo Glimt on Thursday. So that's Thanksgiving for those of us in the States who celebrate Thanksgiving. I don't know if you guys celebrate Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving food. It's my favorite food, but I don't really do the holiday thing just because it just sounds tiring to me. My introverted ass is like the last thing I want to do on days off or go and be around a ton of people and travel and all this stuff. Like, I'm good. Plus, I've got my second webinar with the PFA stuff on Thursday. So I have that. And then right after that, we kick off at Bodo Glimt. Alan says, we will look a lot better with Manu, Ugarte, and Shaw or Butcher in the starting lineup. Are you guys getting a little worried about Lisandro Martinez's fitness? I didn't know what happened before the international break. Apparently, he showed up for Argentina duty with a little bit of a knock that he sustained playing for us, and then he had to withdraw. And I was expecting him to be back already, but he was not even in the matchday squad. It was a little worrying. 16 to go ASAP. Danny agrees with you, Alan. Alan says the pressing very poor. Yeah, I think that, again, it could be a fitness thing, could be just an international break thing. Maybe the players just got a little bit of rust and they just need to, shake it back. I don't know, but Ipswich didn't look rusty, but I doubt how many of those Ipswich players were on international duty. But you guys let me know what you guys' plans for Thanksgiving. I'm going to let the chat run for a little bit because that is it for me. Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't yet. Subscribe if you're new. We are on the road to 2K, if you can see from the ticker below. I did get the next shirt for the giveaway here for you. I'll show it to you. I don't want to take it out of the wrapping because I want it to stay nice. But so this is the next shirt for the giveaway, you guys. This is a large. It is a fan. This is the 21-22 home shirt. It is short sleeve. It is a large. It is the fan version. But this will be for the next giveaway that we do. So keep your eyes out for that. It is brand new. So you guys know I love to show my appreciation for all the support and all the engagement and how well you guys have done to grow the community to where it is already. We're already well over 1,800, but the road to 2K is right around the corner, man. We are doing that. Danny would consider him injury prone. I did not consider him injury prone, and this is why I asked the question. Because those long-term injuries he got that second season were contact injuries. But since he's been picking up a lot of these little issues that are a little concerning. And so I don't know what to make of it. It's very, very confusing, very frustrating, very worrying, because these players don't have these issues and they come to United and they're just sick notes the whole time. I don't want to call him one yet, but Danny is sharing my concerns, it seems. Wife off to Japan with her sister, so just be me and the dog cooking some lamb. Maybe I'll do a watch along, Danny. Then, if you want to join me for a watch along while I have that going, because my wife will be gone too. Like I said, I've got that class middle of the day, should be done 2:30, kick off at 3. So I might, if you guys are interested, I could just pop on the old camera and do a watch along. Maybe we'll give that a thought. So yeah, that's the next giveaway. But in order to do that, just get involved in the channel. Again, we're on the road to 2K. I do need your help though. Once we get to that 2K mark, I want to ask you guys some feedback on channel stuff moving forward. What would you guys like to see? What kind of things you'd be interested in? Things like that. So we'll go forward from there. But you guys let me know what your thoughts were on the match. Those are my thoughts. Ruben reality check, second best on the night, and where are the goals coming from? Because our system should be facilitating more goals from the striker, but the problem today was we weren't able to get the ball out of our half. If we can do that, if we could play a little quicker, if we get some legs in midfield, we get players who are a little more on the ball. And again, I'm trying to give a little bit of benefit of a doubt that we're all coming back from international break and there's maybe a little rust there. So I'm trying not to jump to conclusion. I think we'll get a better idea on Thursday, especially with it being at home. But you guys let me know. Danny, you trying to do a watch along? I mean, I'll think about it, man. If I'm able to get off of the course with the PFA on time, I'm going to feed my dogs and whatnot. Should be fine. Danny B says, I think doing a U18-21 watch along will make channel grow. You think so? I could give that a shot too. I watched a little bit of that one yesterday, the match in the morning. I didn't catch all of it. There's just a lot of stuff going on, but I'll keep an eye out. I can only really watch them when they're on MUTV though. So yeah, I could do something like that as well. I'll look at the schedule and see what's popping up and see what's coming up on MUTV and give that a shout. But yeah, it's a good shout, man. If you're something you'd be down for, if you're something you'd be down to doing more watch alongs, like I said, I don't tend to have the time to do them, but when I do have the time, I'll usually try. But all right, maybe that's something I can give a shot then. I'll keep a lookout for the next Academy match, Danny. But good looking out, man. Good suggestion if that's something you guys would be interested in. I think mostly has to do with the fact that our Academy is just ripe with talent right now. And I think that a lot of people would really like to learn more about that. I think I've already spoken about Giovanni Quenda, 17-year-old sporting winger that everyone's looking at. And I'm like, do we need to go spend money on him when we've got a lot of good teenagers, same age, doing bits in the Academy right now? Ennis, Matanto, Ibrahimov, Shea Lacey's coming back from injury. Biancheri's doing a good job. Obi Martin's doing a really good job. Thwaites is a free kick genius. Like, we have a lot of really good attackers and really good midfielders. You know, I'm even talking about Fletcher and all these guys. Kone. We have a lot of good players in the Academy, and I'm really excited for the next couple of years. Yeah, Danny says Ibrahimov. Yep. So, but that's going to do it for me, you guys. Thank you guys for stopping by. Big up everybody in the chat. Alan, good to see a new face, man. Danny, as always, RSV, Rich, Sports Predictions. Appreciate you guys stopping by tonight for my thoughts. If you guys weren't able to catch the live, comment after the fact with some of your thoughts, some of your feedback, some of your opinions on the match, on Ruben Amorim, on the performance. And then I'll see you guys maybe Thursday if we can swing that. But might pop on between now and then with some news and reactions if anything comes up. But until then, enjoy your rest of your weekend. Enjoy your night. And thank you guys for stopping by. And I will see you guys, as always, on the next one. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you later. Bye.